Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for visiting the YouTube channel for bestbiblecommentaries.com. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top 10 commentaries on the book of Revelation based on aggregate academic reviews. Before I do that, I invite you to subscribe to my channel if you're interested in seeing videos on biblical studies resources. Also, please consider clicking the thumbs up button on the video, as that helps me out on YouTube, and feel free to leave a question or leave a comment or ask a question down below. So like I said, I'm going to talk about the top 10 commentaries on the book of Revelation. I'm going to share some detail or a little bit. I'm going to share a little bit about each volume, but there's much more detail on the page on my website that's devoted to Revelation commentaries. So if you're interested in learning more about the theology of a particular author or to read some of the academic reviews word for word, I invite you to follow the link that I'll put in the description box down below the video and access that page. All right, if you're new to my channel, I just want to encourage you, something I would like my viewers to consider is to use my videos as a starting point. I'm not trying to have the final word. It's just a word, and I hope to point you in the right direction to save you time and to save you money to find the right resource that's perfect for your purposes. Before I get into the top 10 itself, I want to show you some volumes that would be worthy of your consideration that didn't make the top 10 for various reasons. It doesn't mean they're bad commentaries at all, and one of them might be right for your purposes. So I just want to show you those. One is a brand new, it's probably the newest Revelation commentary that I'm going to show you in this video. It's Buste Fanning's Revelation volume in the exegetical commentary on the New Testament series. So sometimes when it comes to ranking commentaries based on aggregate academic reviews, it just takes a few years for the reviews to pile up so you have enough data to work with. So in this case, this volume is it's still very new, it's still very young, but so far so good. It's an outstanding series. Very well-reviewed series. It's a fantastic outline. And again, if you want to learn more about Buste Fanning's theological approach to the book of Revelation, I invite you to visit the Revelation page on my website. But that would that's some will want to consider that volume for sure. Another one is Paige Patterson's Revelation volume in the New American Commentary series. It's a very well-reviewed series. By the way, also in the description box down below, I have a link to a page on my website where I list the top 50 Bible commentary series. And the New American Commentary series is one of the best reviewed series, and Revelation is one of the most popular books of the Bible to have a commentary on in any series. So this one's definitely worth mentioning, Paige Patterson's. Another one is in the Preaching the Word series. The subtitle is The Spirit Speaks to the Churches. This is by James M. Hamilton. Preaching the Word series is, it's an expositional commentary series, so a lot of the passages read like printed sermons. A similar approach, actually, is this Revelation volume from the Reformed Expository Commentary series by Richard Phillips. So very well-reviewed series. And so if you are interested in the theology of Revelation and interested in reading Revelation for devotional purposes, for example, the Preaching the Word series and the Reformed Expository Commentary series would be good options. If you're teaching or preaching through Revelation, one volume you might want to consider is the Revelation Commentary in the Teach the Text series by J. Scott Duvall. This series is now discontinued, but you can still find used volumes for an affordable price online. So that might be worthwhile for some of you. All right, just one more I want to show you, and then I'll get into the top 10. And that's the Revelation volume by Steve Gregg. This is a standalone commentary, meaning it's not a part of any series. And every passage of Revelation in this book is covered in 4 different views. So the views are historicist, preterist, futurist, and idealist. Now, because there's 4 columns, and 4 views are described for every passage, it means that there's not a lot of depth as you're going to find in some of the other commentaries that I'll show you. It's more of an overview. But for some of you, that might be exactly what you're looking for. So for your consideration, Steve Gregg, Revelation, 4 views, revised and updated, a parallel commentary is what that's called. All right, now let's get into the top 10 commentaries on Revelation based on aggregate academic reviews. If you're wondering what I mean by academic reviews, there's several examples on the page, on my Revelation page on my website. All right, number 10 is the Revelation volume in the Expositor's Bible Commentary series. It's written by Alan Johnson. One thing to know about this series is there's multiple books of the Bible in each volume. So this covers Hebrews through Revelation. So on one hand, when you buy this book, you're getting a commentary on several books of the New Testament, Hebrews through the book of Revelation. On the other hand, the portions of the commentary in this book are going to be shorter just because of the space. There's not as much space devoted to them. So in this case, the Revelation commentary is only 200 pages. So you might go to buy this commentary and see, well, this volume is, I can't remember how much it is, but say it's $30. Only 200, you should know that only 200 pages of it is the Revelation portion. That said, this Revelation commentary is well reviewed for pastors. The perspective is historical, premillennial. And the Evangelical Theological Society review of this volume says that Johnson is well balanced and fair in his interpretation of the book of Revelation. So this is number 10. Number 9 is Dennis Johnson. And the commentary is actually called The Triumph of the Lamb. The subtitle is a commentary on Revelation. Dennis Johnson did an interview with me on my website for this book a few years ago, and it was just a pleasure to interact with him. It's a very well-reviewed commentary. Johnson's perspective is amillennial. And S.M. Baugh, some of you who follow the world of Bible commentaries might be familiar with the name of S.M. Baugh, wrote a very well-reviewed Ephesians commentary. He wrote a review of this commentary, and he says that Johnson writes with masterful skill without losing the reader down exegetical rabbit trails. So for more on this, visit the page on my website for more information if you're considering that book. Next is Robert Thomas's 2-volume commentary on the book of Revelation. And this one used to be part of the Wycliffe Exegetical Commentary series. That's an older series that only came out with a few volumes before it was discontinued. And so after that series was discontinued, this volume was published in a standalone, just as a standalone version. So I'm just for the purposes of space on my table here, I'm just showing you one volume. This is Revelation 1 through chapter 7. The perspective of Robert Thomas is dispensational premillennialism. He's a professor at Master's Seminary, which is a school associated with John MacArthur's ministry. The journal Bibliotheca Sacra from Dallas Theological Seminary says that Thomas presents a conservative approach to introductory questions in this commentary. It's a mid-level commentary. A person does not need to know Greek to read it, although I would say it's helpful. There is Greek lettering and there is discussion of the Greek itself. So Robert Thomas 2-volume, and you can still get that new, by the way. Number 7 commentary on Revelation, based on academic reviews, is Craig Keener's volume in the NIV Application Commentary series. Also, one of the best reviewed commentary series out there. For the full list, I point you to the link below, which takes you to the page where I list the top 50 commentary series ranked in tiers of 10. So the NIVAC The NIV Application Commentary Series, sometimes it's just called the NIVAC series for short, is focused on making the biblical text relevant for today. So if you are looking for extensive information on the background of the book of Revelation, this isn't the best volume or even the best series to use. There's some of that information in here, but again, the focus is really more on the application of the text. Keener is evangelical, and he has previously been a part of Pentecostal churches. I'm not sure his denominational affiliation at the moment, but he is also Arminian. And the perspective that he takes is historical premillennialism. Again, Bibliotheca Sacra says that Keener blends the historicist and futurist views, and the seriousness of his applications will not fail to challenge readers. So some want a Revelation commentary that's not focused on application. And again, it just depends on your purposes. It's devotional, preaching, teaching. People have different reasons for using Bible commentaries. But if you are looking for the application approach, then some of the ideas and suggestions and stories that Keener has in those sections in this commentary are very insightful and have a lot of wisdom. So he's a very, very well reviewed commentary author, Craig Keener. All right, number 6 is George Elden Lad. And I have that one off the screen, so let me just show you this. So first thing to know about this is this has so many different cover designs. This is one of the oldest ones that I'm showing in this video. And probably because it's older, it just has a lot of different cover designs. It's also standalone, so it's not a part of any series. So if you find George Elden Lad commentary on Revelation online, no matter what it looks like, it's going to be the same content. And over time, it's just been very well reviewed. George Elden Lad was a Baptist pastor. He taught at Fuller Seminary in California. His position is historic premillennial. He argues for a post-tribulation rapture, and he blends preterism and futuristic methods of interpretation. An interesting academic review is from the Westminster Theological Journal. The reviewer says he makes a point of saying that he himself is not premillennial, but he says that in his opinion, Lad's commentary is the best premillennial commentary available. But that review is probably 30 years old. So even if it's, some wouldn't consider it the best premillennial commentary today, that's still a very nice review for someone with a different position to conclude. So for your consideration, George Elden Lad commentary on Revelation. Number 5 is Gary Smalley. His standalone commentary on Revelation from IVP publication. The subtitle is a commentary on the Greek text of the Apocalypse. And this is a technical commentary, and it's very in-depth. If you are not a Greek reader, you're not going to maximize this commentary, and I'm not sure how much you will benefit from it. It probably depends a little bit on your experience with reading commentaries, and if you're used to academic reading about the Bible and about theology. This is books over 600 pages in length. The typesetting is just, it's a little bit small actually. So the benefit is there's an extraordinary amount of information in this volume on the book of Revelation. I suppose you could just say the downside is it maybe for some people it might be a little bit more difficult to read because it is so dense. The content is just really dense and packed in there. So it's a commentary on the Greek, and one of the unique things about this commentary that are unlike most of the volumes that I've showed you is that Smalley argues for an earlier date to the book of Revelation. So I think it's safe to say that the majority view among scholars, I think this is probably true, that the majority view is that Revelation was written in the 90s. In the first century, the decade of the 90s. Smalley argues that it was written probably between the 60s and the 70s. So if you're interested in that perspective on the book of Revelation, then this would be a worthwhile volume to consider. Stephen Smalley's standalone commentary, The Revelation to John. Let's put that there. The number 4 on the list, David, and I always struggle with this last name. I think you pronounce it Une, but I might not be exactly right on this one. So this is from one of the best reviewed commentary series, the Word Biblical Commentary series. You can see that this is just Revelation 1 through 5. There's actually 3 volumes. Let's see, 3 books. This commentary is made up of 3 books. I suppose that's how you would say that. So all 3 volumes all together that cover the entire book of Revelation is over 1,600 pages if you got all 3 volumes. So you're going to be paying a little bit more too. Brand new, you might be paying upwards of $75 to $100 if you got all of them new, maybe closer to $100. The strength of this commentary and the reason why it's so well reviewed is because of the treatments of the background in Revelation, historical background, sociocultural background, literary background. If you are interested in the theology of Revelation, this commentary isn't going to be for you. If you are interested in applying the book of Revelation, this commentary is not going to be your first choice. That's just not the purpose for David Unes writing this particular commentary. I would say that the primary audience for this volume should be professors. I don't even know how much pastors will benefit from it. I'm sure that there are some who do, but I would think that professors benefit more than anyone else when it comes to these 3 volumes. So, but for the approach that it takes, it's extremely well reviewed. It just depends on what your purposes are for getting a commentary on Revelation. Number 3 is Mounce, the New International Commentary on the New Testament series. Again, one of the best reviewed commentary series. As opposed to the book I just showed you, theology is extremely important in this book and is one of the themes of Mounce's explanations of the verses and passages in Revelation. Mounce was an incredible scholar. He passed away, I think, in 2019. For example, he worked on the NIV, NLT, and ESV translation committees. He taught for decades, and if you looked in if when people talked about Revelation commentaries, maybe 20 years ago or so, there's a lot of people I think that would rank this one number 1. The volumes that I'm going to show you next that are ranked 1 and 2 are a little bit newer. So part of the reason why this is number 3 is just because maybe to some people it's going to be a little bit dated. Not necessarily in terms of theology, but in terms of biblical scholarship. So if you want your commentary author to be interacting with modern biblical scholarship, this volume might not be your number 1 choice. But if you're interested in the theology of the book of Revelation, then definitely consider this volume. And to learn more about his eschatology or his view on the end times, feel free to visit that page on my website. Number 2 in the top 10 is the Grant Osborne volume on Revelation in the Baker Exegetical Commentary series, the BECNT series, which is one of the best reviewed series. Because number 1 is a different eschatological perspective, I am comfortable saying that this is the best reviewed premillennial commentary on the book of Revelation. That said, Osborne's very respectful of other positions in this volume. He does interact with them and he's respectful of them. It's a mid-level commentary that provides some information about the background of the book of Revelation, but it also includes theology as well. There aren't big sections on making the text relevant or on application suggestions, but what he says about theology, I think, would certainly serve as a starting point for pastors, for example, in building in building their application for each of the passages. It's a mid-level commentary that does interact with the Greek. I think that if you don't know Greek, you'll still benefit from a lot of the commentary. But it's going to be a little bit easier read for those who have some familiarity with Greek. Not fluency necessarily, but, first year seminary Greek. Even if you didn't master the topic, I think you will do fine with this volume. So incredibly well reviewed. One of the best reviewed commentaries on any book of the Bible. And it just so happens that the number one book on Revelation is as well, and that's G.K. Beal's. So I'm going to bring in another book here to show you also. The number one commentary on the book of Revelation, based on aggregate academic reviews, is G.K. Beal's The Book of Revelation in the New International Greek Testament Commentary series. In my view, this is one of the best reviewed commentaries ever written, certainly in the modern years. The challenge for some readers is going to be that this series and this volume is technical, meaning if you don't know Greek, this is going to be a difficult read. Even for those who know Greek, this might be a little bit difficult of a read, just because the size, can you consider the size? It's 1,300 pages, over 1,200 pages, and Beal interacts a lot with secondary literature, so non-biblical literature. Also, one of the areas of his expertise is the New Testament's use of the Old Testament. So for some readers who are just looking for the explanation, just simple, basic, straightforward explanation of the passages of Revelation from an amillennial perspective, by the way, there might be a little bit more material than you would like in this volume. But there is an alternative, and that is this volume. So it is Revelation, a shorter commentary by G.K. Beal. So this is, it's going to be more affordable. That's one thing. And it's over 500 pages still, but it's probably half the price or less than this particular volume. So this book is this, but without all of the technical descriptions, without a lot of the interaction with secondary literature. It's more for pastors. I think most pastors would maybe do better with this book. I think most professors would probably prefer this book. I know pastors who like this volume just fine, but depending on your interest in reading about modern biblical scholarship and interacting with the Greek, this might be the best option. So it's this volume that's the best reviewed, but what's in here is word for word what's in here, just minus 800 pages or 700 pages or whatever it is. So for your consideration, either the technical version or the shorter commentary. And that is the number one commentary on the book of Revelation based on aggregate academic reviews. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.